Well, good Taco Tuesday evening, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Blue Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's had a great Taco Tuesday. Hope everything is going well in your world. The thing that's kind of crazy is we don't know what's going on with somebody else behind, behind the camera or behind closed doors or behind a comment. And people out there, you may see a smile, a nice comment and stuff, but you don't know what their burdens are in life. And there's a lot of people out there that are having some hard times, and my hopes that they have better times coming forward. We talk about the Cowboys and our depression and about how bad things are and stuff. And the reality, in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that important. I know that sounds crazy from a person who's constantly talking about the Dallas Cowboys and their issues, but in reality, that is the truth. The thing that bothers me more than anything else, I was a Boy Scout. The Boy Scout motto is be prepared. Be prepared for anything. Know how to get yourself out of trouble. Find out what plants are edible. One of the things we used to do, of course, was figure out multiple ways of starting a fire. If you got steel wool in a battery, you can go ahead and use that steel wool. Flint and stick, flint and a knife, making sparks. Using a battery terminal, and crossing the wires to get a spark. Magnifying glass. If you got a magnifying glass, you got some dry timber, you can use that to start a fire. Of course, the good old bow and a piece of wood to start friction, to start a fire. Figuring out ways that you can survive through anything. How to purify water. Be prepared for what's coming at you. And if you are prepared, you're never surprised. Now, the Dallas Cowboys are a multi-billion-dollar company. And the thing that's kind of crazy is it seems like they're never prepared and they get surprised. Remember the whole situation with Dan Quinn? They had said, Dan Quinn, if he doesn't get a head coaching job, he'll be back. And it seemed like they were going about business like Dan Quinn was going to be coming back. And when Dan Quinn took the offer from the Commanders, it seemed like they were surprised. They were just literally reaching for straws. Let's talk to Rex Ryan, a guy who wasn't coached, for the last 8 years, the whole totality of Dak Prescott's career in the NFL. You're talking to a guy who hasn't played that long. Hasn't coached in that long. You were surprised. You weren't prepared. You just assumed that he was automatically going to be back. And I think the same thing happened with Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith, we're talking to Tyron Smith. We know Tyron Smith will be back and everything else. And it seemed like all of a sudden, because you can look at how they talked about Tyler Smith. No, he's entrenched at guard. We don't want him to be moving or anything like that. Because you don't talk like that unless you know that Tyron Smith is coming back. And that's another one of those cases where the Cowboys are surprised and shocked and then having to scramble to change their plans because they weren't prepared. And you can go through the situation where they figure that everybody just wants to be a Dallas Cowboy. We them boys. We're America's team. We're right there every year. And they were surprised with Randy Gregory coming back with a new contract offer and basically saying, no, that's okay, we'll move on. And you look at this as teams are getting prepared for free agent frenzy, prepared to try and make themselves to get better. The Cowboys, I don't think they're prepared. I don't think they're doing their homework. I don't think that they're like the squirrel that's putting away the nuts for the future to get ready and prepared, that the Cowboys keep getting left out in the cold because they're not prepared. And I don't understand how a franchise that's worth all of the money that they are is constantly never ready and prepared for the task that's ahead. It's kind of crazy to me. So we've gone through and they've exercised Micah Parsons' contract, the 5th-year option of him as a defensive end as opposed to a linebacker, which is about $3 million less than had they exercised him as a linebacker. And it's kind of funny because he's always been considered a linebacker. Nowhere have the Dallas Cowboys, in their time with having Micah Parsons, have listed him as a defensive end, even though he's played defensive end more than any other position, except now when it comes to money. And I'm curious how Micah Parsons will take that. Basically, you just cut $3 million off of my potential salary if we go to that 5th year. Now, they'll probably say to him, hey, we're going to work out that long-term deal there, Micah, don't you worry. But then again, this is the same people who, for the first 4 years, when they had the opportunity to go ahead and get Dak Prescott, a contract that was worthy of being a starting quarterback in the NFL, they chose not to and literally took it to a franchise tag. I'm not sure about how they do business that it is really that smart. I just don't know. Now again, I'm a guy with a day job and a voodoo doll, and what do I know? I'm not an owner of a billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar business, but it seems like other teams don't go through the case of basically saying, we really can make it without you. That they literally denigrate their players. I don't hear that with Trevor Lawrence, who's going to be due for a contract. I don't hear that with Baker Mayfield, who, Tampa Bay may want to bring back. I didn't hear that with Justin Herbert. I didn't hear that with any quarterback ever. Or the way they treat their players. And I'm beginning to wonder if the Cowboys are losing some of that shine of being them boys and being that destination where everybody wants to play. I think at some point you start to make yourself look like the place that you don't want to be at. But then again, when you go to Dallas, as they put it, being the quarterback of the Cowboys, you're going to get more endorsements than any place else. And you will also get more hate than anybody else. Only could the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys end up in the last couple of years breaking the single season touchdown passing record, end up being an MVP candidate, finalist, twice, that the fans would literally say, get this bum out of here. And have the owner basically say, man, we don't really need to do a deal for him. And I have no fear of losing him. I just can't. I just can't believe that when I hear it. But hey, we're the Dallas Cowboys. We're not like any other franchise in the world. And with that, so ends another day. And I think I'm going to take my old raggedy ass to bed. Shout out to you great people. And I hope that everything is going well for you and your world. And if it isn't, send the prayers your way. Remember, good people, tell the people you love how much you love them, because you might not get the chance again, And I love you guys. And maybe tomorrow, maybe today was the beginning of seeing the Cowboys start to get some work together. Tomorrow's hump day. Maybe they'll start working on Dak's contract or CeeDee Lamb's contract or restructuring somebody's contract to be able to get up underneath the salary cap and maybe give us some hope of actually being all in. And it looks like I put in too much of the fire water here. Good night, good people. God willing, I'll see you tomorrow.